A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a heart-wrenching plea for justice, the family of Khamis Ayyad, a 40-year-old American citizen who was tragically killed in a settler attack in the occupied West Bank, is urging the Trump administration to initiate an investigation into his death. Ayyad, a former resident of Chicago and a father of 5, was killed in Silwood, north of Ramallah, on Thursday, marking yet another incident of violence against U.S. citizens in the region. Ayyad's relatives confirmed his American citizenship and are calling for accountability in the wake of his untimely death. This incident is particularly alarming as it follows the killing of another American citizen, Saifullah Musalit, earlier in July, who was brutally beaten to death by Israeli settlers in a nearby town. William Asfour, the operations coordinator for the Chicago chapter of the Council on American-Islamic Relations, CAIR, stood alongside Ayyad's family, labeling the incident as murder. He emphasized the need for a thorough investigation by the Department of Justice, stating, "An American citizen was killed. Where's the accountability?" According to eyewitness accounts from Ayyad's cousin, Mahmoud Isa, the situation escalated when settlers set vehicles ablaze outside Ayyad's home in the early hours of Thursday morning. When Ayyad attempted to extinguish the flames, Israeli forces arrived and reportedly fired tear gas in his direction. The family believes that Ayyad succumbed to the effects of tear gas and smoke inhalation from the burning cars. The attacks by settlers against Palestinian communities in the West Bank have been on the rise, especially since the onset of Israel's military operations in Gaza in October 2023. U.S. officials have classified these settler attacks as acts of terrorism, yet they continue to escalate. Armed settlers, often protected by the Israeli military, have been known to ransack neighborhoods, set homes ablaze, and fire upon Palestinians who attempt to intervene. Additionally, the Israeli military has intensified its raids, demolitions, and displacement efforts throughout the West Bank. Just last month, the Israeli Knesset passed a non-binding motion to annex the West Bank, with Israeli ministers calling the current situation a moment of opportunity to assert control over the area. Amidst this turmoil, Israel's military continues its aggressive campaign in Gaza, which various human rights organizations have condemned as genocidal. Asfour from CAIR Chicago highlighted that Ayyad's death is part of a larger trend of violence against Americans in the region. Another American was killed in the West Bank just weeks ago, he remarked, referencing Musalit's death. How many more before the U.S. takes action to protect its citizens abroad? Settlers burn homes, soldiers back them up, and our government sends billions to fund all of this. The U.S. Department of State did not provide a comment by the time of this report. Last month, Musalit's family similarly called for a U.S. investigation into his death, but the administration has resisted these requests, arguing that Israeli authorities are best positioned to handle investigations concerning their own military and settlers. Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, has urged Israel to conduct a thorough investigation into Musalit's murder, labeling it a criminal and terrorist act. However, over 3 weeks later, no arrests have been made in that case. Since 2022, Israeli soldiers and settlers have been linked to the deaths of at least 10 American citizens, with none of these cases leading to criminal charges. The recent violence also coincides with the detention of 16-year-old Mohammed Ibrahim, a U.S. citizen, who has been held without trial since February. His family reports that he is suffering from significant health issues while in custody. On Friday, Illinois State Representative Abdul Nasser Rashid condemned Ayyad's death as part of an ugly pattern of settler colonial violence in Palestine. He called for the repeal of an Illinois state law that penalizes businesses for boycotting Israeli firms, stating, "We need action. Here in Illinois, we have a law that punishes companies that choose to do the right thing by boycotting Israel. This shameful state law helps shield Israel's violence and brutality from consequences." The funeral for Khamis Ayyad drew hundreds of mourners, highlighting the community's grief and anger over the increasing violence faced by Palestinians and American citizens alike in the region. As tensions continue to rise, the call for justice and accountability in the face of such tragedies remains urgent and unyielding. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.